Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, wherever you are in the world. And let me say, okay, here I'm Leslie Flowers, and it's a real honor to be here again. This is one of my favorite topics. And just so you know a little bit about me, I have been teaching manifestation and visualization in personal development, how the mind works, universal law, principles of success for 25 years. And I have a big, let's just say, list of results with the work that I do, and they're all documented. So in my 12-week programs, we repeat all of the things that I'm teaching over the years. And what it ends up is a full leadership, personal development, emotional intelligence, a little quantum physics, a little metaphysics, because that's what I've been doing for 25 years. So today we're talking about manifesting kindness. And the questions that I'd love for you to think about that I will answer briefly for you before we get into a group of givens. Those are things that we're going to assume today that you're willing to agree with. So this is something for you to try on. This isn't the only explanation for manifestation. But one of the things that I have been told over my career is that I have the unique ability to articulate complex concepts in very simple form. And when I teach twice a week, Monday and Friday, 10 a.m. live Eastern on LinkedIn and YouTube, I teach from as though I'm speaking to fourth graders with the most respect so that you quickly can understand and apply what I'm saying rather than being in confusion trying to figure out what did she mean? I don't know that I agree with it. So we're going to look at what is manifestation. What does being kind mean to you? And how do you feel when you're being kind? I feel really great, right? I love that. Is it on purpose or is kindness a habit? And what is the role of mind and the way we think in manifestation? And notice I'm not bringing the brain into this at all because the brain is something uniquely different than mind. And have you wondered, will I reap the kindness back? Will you reap it back? Or does it matter to you? Like, it doesn't matter to me really unless I'm being kind, and people are, deadpan about it. But pretty much I do it because I love doing it. Okay. All right. So those are the questions to think about. You can ask me any questions you want. If I'm confusing you, let me know and I will articulate. I need to move this sheet over in case there's something comes in the chat that I need to see. Okay. Let me just open the chat real quick here to make sure. Okay, I don't really need that then. Perfect. All right. So now I want to give you some givens. These are the things that we're going to agree to. How much time have I got, Dennis? Say 10 minutes now?
No, well, yeah, for your upfront, assume another 10 minutes or so, but we're not hard on that, Leslie. You were robbed of a few minutes here.
Oh, yes, my mind was robbed. Okay, so I'm getting back into this. All right, so here are the givens. If we could all just agree with these things so that you don't find yourself focused on your viewpoint on any of these. It's kind of like we're going to try this on. So the first thing is that I want you to know is that mind is a cellular activity. Mind is trapped in every cell of our body. So what we think repeatedly and the way we feel about it affects every cell in our body. If you want to look it up, you can look up Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, or Richard Brody, Virus of the Mind. They've proven it scientifically, which is interesting, that actually what you're thinking affects how you feel. And when you're excited, you get chill bumps on your arms. So that's a very easy way to know. Or if you are feeling lousy, you'll stub your toe because you're not focusing and your vibration is very low. So the first thing is mind is cellular. What we think is the only thing we can control. How often we think it and how we feel when we are thinking it. Manifestation is caused via our cellular vibration. If it's kindness and love, it's a positive high vibration. It feels good and there's a spring in our step. The opposite is also true. Right? So if you are thinking bad thoughts or negative thoughts, you'll reap that as well. You will manifest what you're thinking. So now, manifestation is ruled by one of the 7 universal laws or hermetic principles. You can look those up. This one is called transmutation of radiant energy. And that's a lot of words, from taking thought energy and moving it into physical matter. So from one energy, ideas are a form of energy, into physical formation or physical matter. The universe, I would love for you to look at as one universal, omnipresent source of love. We have labels: Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, God, you name it. Those are all labels for this. If we can agree, there's one energetic universal source of love. And we are co-creators. So consider that you do nothing on your own. It is your vibration that communicates with the universe and alerts the universe this is what they want. And remember that there are many explanations for this. So Leslie's way is not the only way. It's whether this resonates with you, because once you get really clear on how this works, the world is your oyster. Children already know these things. That's how they plow through life, getting what they want, but they've never distinguished it. And then through the decades, we fail and our fears begin to develop. And that effervescent feeling as a child who anything goes dissipates, and then we can get it back. Okay, so let me just see here. How are we doing on time? All right, so those are the questions, the givens. Everybody agree, I hope. Yeah, with that? Okay. All right, so the way I'm going to explain manifestation of kindness to you, remember that kindness is the highest vibration. Thank you, Susan. When you're in love, when you're excited, when you have desire, when you are happy, when things are going great, you have a nice high vibration. We're going to look at manifestation as a comparison between a physical seed and how that seed is manifested into a sprout, to a spiritual seed, which is an idea. Okay, so the given is that ideas are spiritual seeds, because it's the idea that we're manifesting. So understanding the distinction between the two, they're very alike, except for one thing, and that is the universal laws. Those laws are designed by the universe to make life easier for us. So the more we know, the less anxiety we have. So let us take the physical seed of an acorn. Okay, it's laying on the ground, it's dying. If you cut it open and you look at it under a microscope, you're not going to see a little oak tree. What is there? is the DNA required to attract to it the law of vibration, the right temperature, the right nutrients. It's being nurtured. So it's dying until we plant it. Now, once we plant it, that DNA begins to attract the water, the sun, and everything we need. And then through scientific evidence and where you're living, we could determine by when that sprout, that little oak tree, will sprout through the ground. But it all starts with the DNA in that dying seed. And the way it's determined is you have to nurture it in spaced repetitive intervals over time. You can't just water it once, right? It has to be an ongoing consecutive process. Okay, let's jump over. I think I can do this in 3 minutes. Okay, let's jump over to the spiritual seed because now we can compare that the processes are almost identical. The idea that you get contains the DNA. Okay, so how do we get the DNA to work the same way as a physical seed? We do that through visualization. Now, the idea can die unless you grab it and it's something you have to do. You're compelled, you're obsessed to do it. And then it's yours to take into manifestation. If you don't do it, you change your mind, it circulates back into the ether because all ideas are already here. It just takes someone to grab them and fall in love with them. So if you let go of it, someone else will get it. Now, what has to happen is that you visualize yourself already in possession of this thing that you want. By doing that, you get excited, right? So you start to increase your cellular vibration. The more excited about it, the more obsessed you are about it, the more desirous you are of it, the more you think about it, the more excited you are about it, the higher your vibration, which is the communication to the universe. Okay, this is what I want to manifest. And in reality, there are two things that happen as soon as you get the idea. Not only do you begin manifesting it through visualization in spaced repetitive intervals over time, every other day, you think about it, you read something about it, you're excited about it, but you only do one at a time because you want to trap this process to repeat. This is the process of transmutation of radiant energy from the radiant energy of the idea into physical form. This is Merlin. But we never knew. They made it look like it was overnight because we were reading stories, but it could have taken decades. So that's kind of a little something I'll throw in there. So what happens is the nurturing is over a period, let's say, of several months for this goal that you'd like to achieve. You visualize and it spikes your cellular vibration. The more you do this, you feel really good. This is not an emotion, this is a feeling. And as co-creators, the second iteration occurs as soon as you fall in love with the idea. It's the physical. Now, the frequency with which you visualize in spaced repetitive intervals over time, the amplitude of your cellular vibration is the speed with which the second fully manifested achievement is coming to you. So you notice we don't go to our goal. The goal comes to us through what we're thinking. So your intention to do this every other day and just get excited about it. And you do it as though you already have it. So you can use your five senses. You can hear it if it's a musical instrument. You can see it or you walk around if it's a house that you want, which is called five sensorizing. Oh, goodness. Okay, let me see if I can wrap this up. So The visualization over time is the nurturing. And it is through the law of vibration that attracts the things to the acorn and to the seed. And the visualization will not only attract what you want, but you'll notice people and opportunities showing up on your path. What you think is coincidence. Oh, I was just thinking about that. That's the answer I need. I'm working on this goal. It was not a coincidence. Consider that should be one of the givens, that there are no coincidences. Now, for the physical seed, we can calculate when the sprout will happen. What we cannot do with a spiritual seed, it is governed, the day of manifestation is governed by the law of gender or gestation. So just like gestation with a baby, ideas are really birthed into the world and you're responsible. Only you can do this. So now you understand that the exact day you receive it is not necessarily up to you, but you don't not do it because it looks like you're not going to achieve it. You continue on visualizing. That is the DNA of manifestation. So that is what has to happen in spaced repetitive intervals over time for this one thing that you love. And then if it's not coming on the exact day, it's the excitement of picking an exact day that's important. So what if it comes a few days late? You don't give up. So I will stop there. And it is my intention that this made sense, that you could see the physical seed and you could see the spiritual seed, and they both have the DNA, the ability to attract people and opportunities and sun and moon and etc. What is necessary. The only difference is that it's through empirical evidence that we can predict approximately when this is coming. And so I guess the question here is, and looking at the questions that I asked you before, is what does being kind mean to you? Now, kindness is that vibration. Here's the question, I think. Will you reap back that kindness, or does it matter to you? And I'll end it there. Thank you, Dennis.